Hey, it's IdkWhatsRc and this is another video about reigning chains. So once again, a lot of stuff have been going on in the last weeks. So first, I've done a massive rework of pretty much everything I've written for the game so far. So it took me about 1 week and it was very useful because now my code is a lot clearer, and if people ask me questions, I have a huge deep understanding of my code now. I know pretty much all the details because I'm going to release the game and the software development kit very soon. I will talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. But yeah, I want to make sure that my game is solid before releasing it for development. And now I'll just cover random stuff I've added. So first, there's the quest, the brand new first quest I've made with my new quest system, but I will not talk about that in this video. I will keep it for the open beta that I will do very soon, so you'll be able to test the quest yourself. It will probably be more entertaining for you guys. That's one thing. Another thing I've changed, little twist, is for the account binding items. So for example, you craft an item, let's say this wand. It has a couple attributes, and if you want, you can account bind it, so you cannot trade it anymore. By doing this, it will add a new property, for example, life lead chance boosted by 1.5%, and if you were the creator of this weapon, all the stats will also be boosted by 20%. So pretty much I really like this system because it means that the best, absolute best weapons are the ones you have crafted yourself, because you will get the 20% bonus. So it encourages people to actually craft item themselves. The reason why I want a account binding option is to prevent the overflow of items, like in games like RuneScape, for example. Another thing I've changed, and it's not really a big change, but it will highly impact the game, is the fact that, for example, let's say that I got loads of abilities, so 6 abilities. Those are the abilities I normally use, but now I want to go to PvP. So right now, the only system I got for PvP is you keep all the abilities you have and you keep the same equipment. Let's just equip this one, for example. So you keep everything you have, and pretty much what I did is that now you have multiple set of equipment and stats and abilities actually that you can change, that I can freely change. So for example, if you go to a PvP zone, you will switch to your PvP gear, and those gear can be affected by certain rules. So anyway, long story short, I can make PvP with certain rules. So for example, I could make a PvP zone where you shoot 10 times more bullets and you only have access to certain abilities. I can make a PvP room where everyone has the same equipment and level and stuff like that. So for example, I will switch for let's say my PvP gear, just to show you guys how it works. So right there I've switched, so I no longer have equipment, I no longer have abilities. Well, obviously if this was PvP, I would teleport to the PvP zone, but I guess you get the point. And I still have in memory in another slot the equipment. So in games like RuneScape, what they normally do if they want people to have the same equipment is they ask you to put items in your bank. That's a pretty cheap way to do it, but it works for a game like RuneScape. But in my game, I want it to be more flexible and be able to switch when I want. And this also applies to quests, so I can have quests, a challenge that requires you to have a fixed equipment. So even if you're super rich, you will still need to do the quest like everybody else. Another thing I've added is DDoS protection. Once again, I don't have pretty much anything to show you guys, but I've added a couple things so people cannot really troll the server. They can still do it, I'm pretty sure they are smart enough, but it's harder now. But don't try it either. Another change is the addition of a Chrono. So now I can start a little Chrono that appears there. So in my game there will be a lot of stuff that will be time based. I got a couple ideas. I don't really want to spoil them too much, but now I have a Chrono. I can start it, I can stop it, and I can also have multiple Chrono going on at the same time. So for example, I got 2 different Chronos, and it's kind of funny. It reminds me of Zelda Ocarina of Time, because in Zelda Ocarina of Time you only have 1 Chrono and you can do multiple glitch with them, and I didn't want that in my game. So let's just stop the Chrono and stop the other one, this one. Okay, and then you can remove them. So that's a little twist I've added. There's also curse. It has been there for a very long time. So like an enemy hits you and your damage is reduced by 50%, for example, or you're fire resistant. The monster calls a curse, not calls a curse, cast a curse on you, and your fire resistant drops. Like I had the system back then, but it didn't show anything to the client, so the player never knew his stats were reduced. So now there's actually they appear there. So for example, my main defense is reduced by 3, and it can be pretty much anything. So now it shows up, and it also shows up for the other monster, and it also shows the status effects, so if you're chill, burned, and stuff like that. Another change, I cannot really show it, is each map has a certain level, and each monster also have a certain level, and pretty much if you're overpowered compared to the map level, your stats will be reduced, so the map is still a challenge for you. And for the enemies, if there's a lot of players around the enemies, the enemy stats will boost, so you cannot simply go with 10 guys and kill everything very easily. The monster will adapt depending on the amount of players. So that's another big thing. Another small thing, it's more for quests. I don't really want to talk too much, but now there's a follow path option. So let's just call the event demo. It's a really crappy path. So you just run and stop and then move. And I'm the player and I cannot move right now. I'm like freezed, and the angle kind of glitch. Not really sure why, but anyway, and after the path is completed, you can move once again. So back then, this feature was not possible. Now it's possible for both the player and the NPCs, so you can make little cutscene stuff. I got one in my quest, but yeah. Another big change is the server question. It might seem stupid, but now I can ask the client a question. For example, X, Y, and map. It can be pretty much anything. The player answers something, let's say 100, 100, and boom, it will do a certain action. So before, every time you wanted to send a comment to the server, you had to type a command. So for example, friend list, add Sam, for example, and it would do something. But now I can have, like most other games, a little pop-up with the question. Normally this would be the question, and then you type the answer and you press enter and it works. And I think I just jammed the game. Oh my god. Normally you need to write whole numbers. Pretty much this is it, and I guess that's pretty much what I've been doing on the server side. There's also a big change with the passive. Don't really want to go too much into the details because I guess that most of you guys don't even know what this is. But long story short, every time you level, you get 1 point and you can spend it on a passive. So for example, I want to get confused time +1, etc., etc. And before you only had 1 page, but now you can have multiple pages. So pretty much the difference between 2 players is the passive they chose. So if you're a warrior, you might go more to the northeast, and if you're a ranger, if you want to play as a ranger, southwest. I'm just saying random stuff there. But if you want to change between class, you pretty much change what the active page is. There's also a freeze option. Won't really go too much into the details, but the amount a stats give depends on the popularity of this stats among all the players. And yeah, I won't really go to to the details because it will be kind of complicated. But you can freeze the popularity. So if you share your class with other people, you won't be affected by the change of popularity. If it makes any sense, then good. Otherwise, no big deal. So now I will move on to the software development kit. I've done a couple things. Once again, I won't really go too much into the details. And once again, this is not a guide about how to use the development kit. It's just a little progress video. So what the... I'll just put it that way. What the software development kit is a series of tools that will help you make quests. So for example, this is a dialogue test. So if I go, let's say, quest, dialogue, and take an example. Let's say that you have written this code right here. So it's not really that complex to make dialogues. So let's say the guy is called Ringo. There is a dialogue called intro first. This is the text, and I'll zoom a little. Something like this. So intro first, this is the text, those are the options. The first option is sure, why not. If you click it, you go on next, and if you select the other option, you go to no. And it's simply that. And this little tool allows you to test the dialogue you have written. I'll de-zoom. I'm not sure if the text is too small or not, but long story short, you click on the dialogue and you can move and select the option and make sure that your dialogue makes sense. And this is like a little spoiler for my quest. This is the dialogue for the guy who gives you the quest. So you can test stuff. So that's one thing. This is for the dialogue only, and I've done one for the events. So a quest, long story short, is a series of events. And if you want to make sure that your quest will work once you import it into the game, you can use this quest tester. So there's the list of events you can call, and those are the quest variable that you have set, and this is your inventory. So let's say I talk with the guy, he says go kill the dragon. You talk with him again, it will say what are you waiting for, and if you continue it will always say that. Then if you kill the dragon, it will set the kill dragon property to 1, and then if you talk to him again, it will say congrats, gives you 10 gold. If you talk with him again, it will still say congrats, but it will no longer give you gold because average of gold is now 1. And this is a very shitty quest, I guess. This is my example quest. And obviously there's the code that comes with it. It's not really... maybe if you're curious. Once again, everything you see right there is already on GitHub for those who are interested. But this is how it looks. There's a variable. There's the events. Kill dragon, give gold. Like I test if you have already received gold, don't give gold. But if you don't, give gold. And the little dialogue stuff. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it about this update video. Once again, I'm planning to do an open beta very soon for the new quests I've released. And I guess that's pretty much it. So bye.